During this session, course learners will discover new educational technology trends by researching and summarizing it in a research paper written in APA format. We need to prepare students for their future, not our past. This quote was written by Ian Jukes, who is an educator and a futurist.
Let's pretend that we have access to a time machine. Let's be inspired by Jules Verne, Marty McFly, and the Enchanted Under the Sea dance. Traveling warp 10 around a star aboard the USS Enterprise, or experiencing a quantum leap with Dr. Sam Beckett, and move forward through time to see what will be the future trends that will impact education. The New Media Consortium is a community of university, research center, and K-12 education personnel that explore and report on future trends in education. The NMC Horizon Project charts the landscape of emerging technologies for teaching, learning, and creative inquiry. Launched in 2002, it epitomizes the mission of the NMC to help educators and thought leaders across the world build upon the innovation happening at their institutions by providing them with expert research and analysis. The report is well known for helping to identify and predict developments that will impact the future of education.
The report has outlined the following trends as important ones for the future of higher education: mobile learning, analytics technologies, mixed reality, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and virtual assistants. Using portable computing devices such as iPads, laptops, tablet PCs, PDAs, and smartphones with wireless networks enables mobility and mobile learning, allowing teaching and learning to extend to spaces beyond the traditional classroom. Within the classroom, mobile learning gives instructors and learners increased flexibility and new opportunities for interaction. Analytics is the use of data to help make important decisions. Through all of the data points, learning experts are able to make informed instructional decisions to help personalize instruction for students. Over the past year, interest in extended reality technologies such as virtual, augmented, immersive, and mixed reality has surged. New and more affordable XR technologies, along with voice activation and sophisticated visual display walls, provide promising directions and opportunities to immerse learners in the curriculum, offering deeper and more vivid learning experiences and extending the learning environment. Virtual reality is a way to immerse users in an entirely virtual world. Augmented reality is a live, direct, or indirect view of a physical, real-world environment whose elements are augmented by computer-generated sensory input such as sound, video, graphics, or GPS data. Mixed reality, sometimes referred to as hybrid reality, is the merging of real and virtual worlds to produce new environments and visualizations where physical and digital objects coexist and interact in real time. Artificial intelligence, or AI, refers to computer systems that undertake tasks usually thought up to require human cognitive processes and decision-making capabilities. Machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence, is becoming an effective student success and retention tool on campus. Machine learning concerns teaching machines to learn about something without explicit programming. Extensive research in artificial intelligence also divides it into two more categories, namely strong artificial intelligence and weak artificial intelligence. Blockchain, which is best known as the foundation of Bitcoin, is a technology that functions as a public, distributed, unchangeable ledger. Blockchain stores information in bundles of records called blocks, stored across multiple computers. The result is a tamper-resistant record of data or transactions. Academic, employment, and credential information will be accessed using this digital ledger technology. A digital assistant, sometimes called a virtual assistant, is voice-activated software that can understand and carry out electronic tasks for you. Instead of using your hands to pull up certain apps or programs, you just need to speak a command and the digital assistant will carry it out for you. If you have a smartphone, tablet, or newer computer, there's a good chance it has a built-in digital assistant. The K through 12 report was taken over and rebranded the K through 12 blueprint. Some of the critical areas include the following: computational thinking, security and privacy, innovation spaces, maker and STEM, active learning spaces, bring your own device initiatives, digital transformation, open education resources, and infrastructure.